Hi, it's Drew here. Welcome to Ears to You, 4th episode. Today I'm going to be talking about masks and how the Covid-19 has affected deaf and hard of hearing people. Would you prefer if everyone wore a mask? 100%, but you can't tell when someone does have a hearing loss. So by having everyone wear a clear mask, it just removes that barrier for everyone at the beginning. It would make it a lot easier for us to understand people. Also, we should remember that even people who may not necessarily have hearing loss, they would also benefit from seeing other people's lips to better understand them. Because I know for myself and a lot of my friends and family, when we are out and about, it is actually a lot harder to hear people, especially when they are behind, say, a glass screen or when a mask muffles what they are saying. So again, I think that really goes to show that the clear mask, they have a place and they are useful for everyone, not just people necessarily with hearing loss. Not just muffling, but also the breathing and just overall better communication, especially when during the time when not a lot of communication is being done. The main benefit is being able to see the other person's lips. So being able to see their mouth move. Do you use lip reading as a form of communication? So before the pandemic, I didn't always use lip reading, but it was more of an added thing for me. So if I couldn't understand what they were saying, then I would resort to lip reading. But with the pandemic, it's been difficult when you can't understand them and you can't go to lip reading because of the mask. So I think having the clear mask would definitely be helpful to be able to lip read in situations especially. It's hard when people have accents, beard, mustache. Even now with masks, it's always complicated. So I talked about the problems and the increased burdens that the pandemic has placed on communication for people with hearing loss. What can people do to help you understand better while staying safe? So about solutions, what you think that people can do just not in their everyday lives, or just a simple change people can make to help better understand, while still keeping in mind that a pandemic is dangerous and that we still want to make sure everyone stays safe. So for me personally, if I can't hear someone when I'm wearing a mask and there's like a glass or something, personally, if I could get them to write down what they're saying, or if I have someone with me, I'll ask them to translate for me, like repeat for me. But with the pandemic, we still want to be safe. So I know people would probably want to resort to you taking the mask off. But that does come with added risk during this pandemic. There's 2 ways people can accommodate me or anyone really. Is that if you want to stay safe, but you want to make sure that person hears you, you can sit or stand 6 feet away, but take off your mask or something. Just make sure you have a good distance. You can't, but project your voice which I think is one of the big things you could do, and speak up. No more mumbling, but really try to project as if you're talking to an audience. Really just to make sure they can hear you, and not just that. If you can use a lot of body language, because even if you're wearing a mask, you can't really show what you're doing, but if you can, enunciate your facial expression and alter your hands and play around with that. Feel that could also help. But we can take steps to sort of help ourselves. I use an live transcribe app sometimes to help myself read what's being said, so I don't have to ask people remove their mask and such, but it's a cool thing for us to have. How do you handle with wearing mask while wearing hearing aid or cochlear implant? So it can be annoying wearing the mask sometimes, especially when I try to remove it. My processor can sometimes get caught in the mask. Same with my glasses, and it comes off. I hate when the mask falls up my glasses, but I say that's only my main concern, but have seen, rather alternative masks that can be used. You can tie it back rather than going around the ear, which I think could benefit from. But during this pandemic, I started to see how society reacts to it. I've talked about my personal experience in communication wearing a mask. How do you handle wearing a mask while also wearing your hearing devices? I rely on other people or my parents. Is this what I would like? Just what I need if I'm going to the bank or if I'm ordering food or I can do that myself, but what I've learned is that because there's no visual reference for me to know, but I am heavily reliant on it. But I'm blindsided and I have no idea what they're saying. Even though they're speaking clear to me, I'm not sure, but sometimes I ask them to repeat yes or no, whatever. I just say yes to everything because I don't want to. I feel a bit of the problem for me is that if I understand them, it's the pressure. If there's a line behind me and I don't like being that one person who's taking up all the time and everyone is wondering when is this person going to finish her order. I would rather have them help me out and I'll turn to them immediately. But sometimes I relied on people too much since Covid-19 hit, but I was a bit stressed. What do you think is the future of masks after the pandemic? There are gonna be people once they're fully vaccinated, they're gonna be no, we're good, we don't need masks. But then there's always gonna be, those people that are just gonna be worried about, it coming back, or just worried that it may be still in transmission around the community. So I think those people are definitely keep wearing masks for sure. I think it'll become a more common thing to see people wearing masks around. But it's going to be interesting to see if they're also going to wear just a simple mask or if they all wear a clear mask. It's just interesting to see how it'll go from there. So thinking right now, obviously this pandemic has introduced regular mask wearing to many people, but other places in the world, for example, just wearing a mask when you're sick and then going on about your day instead of just walking around without a mask while sick. and having the possibility of spreading that. I think the pandemic has really highlighted just how dangerous and easy it is to spread a virus. But I do think that because we haven't had, at least in the Western world, we haven't had a pandemic this size in a while, or at least since Spanish flu back in 1918. These things were spread, but it's been a bit of a while since then, and people have been a brand new generation and grew up without knowing the existence of it, which is our generation. And viruses are spread, and what to avoid that. I think people will try to take how seriously this is. Like I've seen people bring pieces of soap dispenser to wash hands with before you eat, or less likely to hug a person or shake their hand when they meet. There are so many ways, new things that we thought are common to do as a society are not going to fade away, and new ways of life, like what's considered a norm in certain situations. But this pandemic is teaching us better health practices for sure, like with hand sanitizer, or even just like wearing a mask when sick. And it's crazy because I feel like you're in Canada. Even if you're sick, slightly, you still go to work kind of thing. It's more of how we prioritize work. And so I feel like this pandemic is really teaching us, like if you're sick, you don't want to spread to the rest of the community. And it's really like raising the importance of our health. Will the shift to turning online school businesses last? Hope it would last with hearing loss. I just think that online services that these businesses or public services are providing, it just makes it a lot easier for us to communicate with them, reduce those added barriers. So I hope that they would realize that during the pandemic that they have extended their clientele to individuals with hearing loss as well. So I think it would be beneficial in the long term. Well, at least for certain businesses or public areas, it will stay. Online things could change. That before the pandemic, we didn't know that these activities would be online, but we already had a traditional sense of this is how businesses or public areas or different areas, and because of this, I feel like people have to now realize this is a lot easier and better, showing certain insistence to have an online version of that activity. Alright everyone, that's it. So this is Drew signing off. Stay true to yourself and peace out.